Hi guys, I'm Bobsi, and we're going to continue off from where we left off with our first-person shooter. And I think next let's actually introduce some shooting. However, before we do that, there's something with the jumping I'd like to fix first. Because when it comes to bools and toggles like this that you know are only sort of single event clicks, like take shooting or jumping, for example, when you click and then you don't click, you want to assume that they're not clicking. Essentially, the way that the prediction system works is when there's ticks where it doesn't have data yet, which, will be pretty much any ticks, well, then it actually will assume that the previous data is also the future data, if that makes sense. So, which means, and in most cases, this will work very well, right? For example, for moving. Right, let's say that I'm constantly moving forward. Well, when it doesn't have data from me, it should still assume that I've just continued moving forward. That's essentially how it predicts or it guesses exactly what happens. However, with something like jumping, we don't want it to assume that I'm trying to jump when we haven't actually received the signal that you wanted to jump. And so this is very easy to do. What is called modify extrapolated input. And right here, we're essentially getting our extrapolated input passed already. So this means that whatever we have here is already extrapolated. This is not verified input, this is extrapolated input. And so what we can easily just do is we can say input.jump equals to false. Now let me just try and explain it again, because I think it's very important that you understand this part of prediction in order to actually debug your own stuff. So let's say that we have the player here, right? That's the player. And he has pressed to jump 5 ticks ago, right? Well, he pressed to jump, and let's say we now have a very high ping, which means we haven't actually received any input since he jumped and landed again. Let's say that he's, let's say that he's jumping up on a ledge, right? So we have this here, and like that. And let's say that our player is jumping from the ground. So he's here, he's grounded, he presses jump, and then jumps up here and lands here. Now he has only pressed jump once, so he's only intending to jump once. But let's now say that you have a very high ping, which means he jumps, he receives the signal that he has jumped, but he hasn't received any other input since. And then he lands again, it's still going to extrapolate that he intended to jump, right? That the jump button was true, which means when he then lands here, he'll jump again. But that was actually false, so that means we will now see jump up, jump, and then once it receives the information that he actually stopped pressing jump somewhere in the air here, it'll snap back to the ground. And that doesn't really look good for something like jumping. Same with shooting. You don't want false shots to happen, right? So let's say that I'm just tap firing, but you haven't received any information, right? On your screen, it'll look as bursts because you'll see that I'm shooting, then it'll extrapolate into the future, and then shoot, because it thinks that you're holding the shot. But then in fact, later it figures out you were never holding the shot, and then it'll go back. So something like shooting or jumping, or like you don't actually want it to be predicted in that sense, which is what you can pretty much just stop by changing what does it extrapolate to. So now every time that it tries to extrapolate information, it'll just go to false. It'll just assume that we're never trying to jump unless I've received the information to jump. And all of that was just a long explanation, but I really hope that it makes sense. Now let's actually get into the shooting. And for that, this obviously matters as well. So let me go into my scripts and let's make a player shooter script. Now, this is not going to be with weapon changing and all those things. I'm just going to assume that we have a single gun, because I'm going to assume that once you understand the system well enough, you can make a lot of these changes yourself. So let's make a predicted identity. And of course, similar to always, we need the state and the input. So I'm just going to plop that in here. This is the shoot input, the shoot state. And let me remove that, remove these, and the shoot state. And then here we'll have the player shooter.shoot input and player shooter.shoot state. And we also, of course, need the simulate. All right, cool. So now that we have these, there's a few things that we want with the shooting. So first of all, let's just go back into our movement, and you can see we're getting always sent the camera forward. So we can actually use the input from our player movement already. We don't have to send the camera forward again in the player shooter. We can just use what we have here. And so let's start by having a reference to our player movement so that we can easily access it. And now in the shoot input, let's have a shoot. Let's do a public pool shoot. And then let's do in the update input, let's do input or equals to, and then let's just do input.getKey down, or get key, I guess. And that would be keycode.mouse0. Oh, and that would be input.shoot, of course. There we go. And now you can only, when you do debug log, you can actually only do that on the host. You can do it on clients too, but just know that it'll be called a bunch of times because simulate is being used over and over again to re-simulate and so on. So what we can now do is we can do if input.shoot, then we just want to log that out, shooting. for example. Let's try and plop this on the player and test and how that works. So there we go. I'm going to go ahead and hit play. And you can see now when I click, it'll log shoot a bunch of times. And as I hold it, you can see it'll keep logging it. And when I stop, it'll stop logging it. And same thing goes for my clone here. See, when I'm holding it, it'll log it. When I stop, it'll stop. All right, so that's all working very well. Now let's do the same thing that we just did before. So let's modify extrapolated input. And let's do input.shoot equals to false. So that way we always assume that it is false unless we have received otherwise. You might have noticed here on the client that we got a lot of shooting logs. That was exactly what I mentioned. But if we now go in here and hit play, and now I shoot and I let go, there we go. You can see that it still works as it should. And you should also notice that this number should likely be less. It'll still be very high, but it'll likely be quite a lot less because now it's not assuming that you're shooting when it is missing information, which it will. It'll typically be 1 or 2 ticks behind even on a local setup. Okay, cool. So now that we know that the shooting works, let's just go ahead, I guess, and say if it doesn't want to shoot, let's just return because we don't want to do anything for now. This is where we could handle, cooldowns and stuff like that, which we actually probably should have. So let's go in here and let's make a public float and let's just make it a cooldown. I guess cooldown timer, for example. And then let's also, as a serialized field, just make a private float. That'll be the, I guess, let's just call it the fire rate, which means if we set that to something like 3, for example, we should be able to shoot 3 times per second. So we can also easily convert this. We can just make like a public float, which will be the, let's say, shoot cooldown, and make a getter to this, which will be 1 divided by the fire rate. And that'll essentially be the cooldown. And now we can use this for our timer. So that when we shoot, we can set the state.cooldown timer. I don't know why I made that with an underscore. Probably wouldn't. We'll set that equals to the shoot cooldown. And then up here, we can say that if the state.cooldown timer is greater than 0, then we want to also return and we want to count it down. I guess actually let's just count it down up here. Let's just do state.cooldown timer. No, let's change it inside. I like that better. State.cooldown timer minus equal to the delta. There we go. Now we should have implemented a cooldown again. So let's go down here, just add a log saying shooting, and let's go and test that. So now on the player, we have a fire rate of 3. And now when I hold it down, you'll see shoot, shot, 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 shot. Yeah, there we go. It looks a lot better. Cool. So now we have that working too. So now we still need obviously some actual shooting functionality, but now we have the timing down. Now it's as easy as really just raycasting. As I've talked about before with prediction, is whatever you choose to write inside the simulate is pretty much just as easy as doing single player code. So I guess let's also make something that handles the player's health. So I'm just going to go ahead and make a player health component. And this will once again be a predicted identity. Let's go ahead and take this. And I don't think this one should actually take input. This one should just hold state. So let's make it a predicted identity with the player health dot, let's call it health state. And this should obviously hold an int for our health. Let's make a serialized field in the beginning, a private int max health. And then let's do the get initial state to set up the state correctly. And here we want to return a new health state. And then we can put whatever in here we want. For example, health should be equal to the max health. That should be the initial state. Like so. So there we go. So now the health is immediately being set to max health. And now let's make some methods in here that can help us a little bit. So let's make a public void. And let's do a damage. I guess let's do a change health actually. I think that's cleaner. Int, I guess change is what it'll be called. And then this will just get the current state.health and do plus equal to change. And that should pretty much do that. So now going back into the shooter, let's try and actually handle the shooting logic. So let me make a private void and let's just call it shoot. And this is where we want the forward. So let's do a var for forward, which will be equal to the player movement dot current input dot camera forward. So you can actually just use input and state in other as well. They're all being simulated essentially at the exact same time. So everything should work. They're all context relevant. So now we have the forward. And I guess let's start by just doing actually dot value. And then let's here just say that if camera forward dot has value, and rather if it does not have a value, we still want to shoot, but just hold on a second. I will we'll talk about this in a little bit, but for now let's just return. Now we have the actual forward. And actually let's handle the forward thing now. So in the shoot state, let's actually keep track of a last known forward. So let's do last known forward. And essentially, whenever that we do have a value, we will do current state dot last known forward equals to, and this will then be, I guess, the forward. So let's invert these. And in this case where we then don't have one, we can actually change this. So we can do this instead. So if we do have a forward, if it has a value, we put a little question mark here, which makes it a one-line if statement. So if it does have a value, we use its value. If not, we will use the current state dot last known forward. That should pretty much do the trick. And we can make this conditional actually, yeah. So we can do that. So essentially, this is essentially just a one-line null check. So it checks that if the camera forward is valid, then we use that. If not, it defaults to this. Cool, so now we have a forward that we know that we can safely use. And for the position for shooting, so now we have the forward position that we can use. We also need an actual position. And the way that we get that is, well, we got to think about where exactly is the camera on the player pretty much and shoot from that position. So if we just go into runtime here, you can see that we have the camera here, but the thing is the camera's under our player visuals, which means we probably shouldn't be trusting those. So instead, what we can do is we can do it a little bit differently. We can likely just very quickly calculate by just referencing the camera. But again, since it's under the visuals, I don't really like having anything point to the camera. So what I'd rather do is just set a value where we can essentially set it exactly at where the camera is as well. Because we know the camera is offset pretty much to the player's visuals, and the player visuals is at 0, 0, 0, and you know obviously the root at 0. So therefore we can easily just have the offset. So we can just do private vector 3 center of camera, for example. And in my case, I actually know exactly what it is because I just copied that value, and that we have here. And this is essentially our shoot position. So let's just do var position equals 2, and this will then be our transform.transform point, which will be that. That'll essentially take it from a local position to a world position, and now we can do the raycast. So we can do if it does not hit the physics.raycast from the position in the direction of forward. Oops. And outputting the raycast hit of the hit. And we return if we do not hit it. And if we do, then we can do hit.transform.try get component out player health other health, and then we can call other health dot change health minus some damage variable that we set up. As you can see here, is just 35 damage. And of course the shoot needs to be part of the simulate as well. And lastly, before we go test, I don't think we should shoot strictly from this position. I think we should shoot a little bit in the forward direction. So if we just take the forward direction, just times it with 0.5 or something like that, we'll be shooting essentially a little bit in front of the actual position. And more importantly also, the forward, it's always good to just make sure that in the sanitize input, we're actually checking that the camera forward has a value, and if it does, we normalize it. Just making sure that the forward is normalized so it's not hackable either, right? It's always good to make sure to sanitize your input, making sure that that's not cheatable in any way. And then in player health, now that change health is being used, we can very easily do something like if current state.health goes less than or equal to 0, then we do some kind of dying. So there we go, and that should mostly be it. And also, just as a little extra tip, you can actually debug in Inspector very easily and see the health. So let's see how when the other player joins. There we go. We can actually have a look at the player health. Oh, and because of course it's not logging out. Wait, so let me just try and show you that. So if we go into the health state and we just override the toString, what we can return is we can return a custom string that in our case will just be health, and then it'll hold the actual health. And this now should show in editor, so it should make it very easy for you to debug. So going over here, now I've clicked on him once, and you can see now he's on 65 health. I click again, now he's on 30 health. And then I click on him again, and now you can see that he has died, and he's on -5 health. Obviously right now I can keep shooting him, so his health will keep going down. That doesn't really matter much in our case. But you can see that he has kept dying every time that we shoot him. So now you have shooting and killing in the game too. We can of course handle this in various ways. Next time we can look more at some visual handling and stuff like that for the shooting. But I hope that this was helpful and that you learned something new every time that we go about it. And hopefully it should be nice and easy. I really think like the actual functional code of it isn't that difficult. There is something in terms obviously of these absolute values of the camera that we're sending through. And it's not in every case that you have to do this. And you could also again predict the camera in some other way and handle it so you wouldn't have to handle this. But to me, this works just fine. So yeah, other than that, I just hope that you want to leave a like, comment and subscribe and just have a wonderful day.